Technical difficulties as always. What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to another episode of Horror with Nadia. I am very excited about this episode. I put a lot of time and effort into it, so this should be a lot of fun. It is combining two of my favorite things, movies and haunted ghost stories. So it should be a pretty chilled night. We're going to get into Ed and Lorraine Warren. Are they frauds? Are they real? I put together the sweetest little PowerPoint presentation together, so this should be exciting and fun. So relax, sit back, get a snack, and we're gonna have a discussion about it. Before we get into it, a couple things. One, if you're new here, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, much appreciated on my end. Two, I do have a super chat goal going, if you're so inclined, because I did not hit 1K for Final Destination. I put a super chat goal for it as well. So if I do hit the goal that I have in mind, I will be going to go see Final Destination Bloodlines, not standard, not IMAX, but 4DX. And I will record a pre and after, and hopefully in the show if I can. I will if I'm like the only one in the theater, which I'm kind of hoping I will be at. So if you're inclined, feel free. No pressure. As always, I do this for the channel, and to be frank, I don't do well with Final Destination movies, so here we are. So let me say hi to the chat. Corey being first. What's up, Corey? Hope you're doing good. Cinnavir's Fish, seen you around. Rachel, always a pleasure to have you. Rio, I saw you as well. Holland Oats, what's up? Evening. Where are you, Rio? I just saw you. There you go. Evening, guys. Thank you for joining me on this very nice. It's very nice today here in Vegas. It's going to be a high of 72. It was in the 90s and 100 the last few days. It has been boiling hot and gross and sticky and humid for some reason. I don't know why. Let me grab my notepad out where I have my notes. How's everybody's? Before we get into, I know you're all here because you just like to hang out and hear about things. Oh, and we're also going to watch the Conjuring the Last Rites trailer. I haven't seen it yet. I've been waiting for this episode to see it. I'm intrigued. We'll check it out. I don't think the last movie did so well, but we'll check it out. We'll check it out. These movies always, I don't know what it is. Insidious and Conjuring, even though they're cheesy jump scare type of movies, separating the first out of each of the franchise, they always get me still. Always creep me out. And maybe it's because of my own experience with like the paranormal and ghost hunting and things I believe, but I am always freaked out at these movies, and I shouldn't be. Like there's no reason. You know a jump scare is coming, but I'm usually freaked out by it. Oh, and I have a poll going on right now. Is Ed and Lorraine a fraud, real, or mixed? And I'm curious to everybody in the chat joining me today. Do you guys know who I'm talking about? And I know there's like a few second delay. Oh, and I have clips. We have audio. It's going to be spooky tonight, guys. Notice my back. I put candles. I dimmed down the lights a little bit. Got some red going. It's going to be a spooky time. What's up, D Nice Gamer? Hey, Sun and Shadows. What's up, guys? Welcome. This should be a fun discussion on it. All right. So, the reason why I wanted to do a show just dedicated to them, and honestly, we're going to kind of touch the tip of the iceberg on it. There are a ton of great content creators out there who have done hour-long videos on each case that we're going to discuss, because what we're going to do is talk a little bit about Ed and Lorraine, and then we're going to talk about each of the movies and the cases that these movies are based off of. What has Hollywood kind of over-exaggerated? What is the real story? And also, are those real hauntings too as well? I will tell you from my just going in as a baseline, I do believe in ghosts. I do believe in demons. I do believe in all this paranormal stuff. I do believe that sometimes there are things that carry very bad energy and will manifest things. I've had my own experience with it. So I am a believer in that. However, I do also believe that there are a lot of people who take advantage of a lot of people and overhype maybe abilities or overhype the story just for the fame and fortune. So we walk a thin line, walk a very thin line on this. So again, we're going to talk about a little bit. Uh, the re- Hollywood has kind of sugar-coated Ed and Lorraine's relationship too throughout the Conjuring movies, and I get it. You know, you want to make it appealing to the masses and stuff, but it's been a very naughty, naughty boy. Very naughty, naughty boy. So we're gonna get into that as well. Like I said, I have a very nice PowerPoint presentation I put together. We're gonna have some clips and notes, so strap on in. And that will be what we'll be covering today. Tomorrow is the members chat. We're gonna talk a little bit more about ghost stories. You know, we'll chat out, as I like to say. We'll chat. So, okay, so let's get into it. Let me pull up my PowerPoint. So this is going to feel like everybody's in school. So I hope you guys are ready. All right. So, who are the Warrens? Don't all you raise your hands at once. Who are the Warrens? Okay. All right. The Conjuring series, most people know. But who are the Warrens? The investigation. By the way, they also were involved with Amityville too, which is not what I'm going to be covering tonight. We're just going to be covering the ones based off the movies. So, overview on this. So, Ed, who was born 1926, and Lorraine 1927 Warren, are famous paranormal investigators known for their cases like the Amityville and the Conjuring franchise, which each of them are based off of. So, public image portrayed in The Conjuring as this loving, devoted Catholic couple dedicated to helping families battle supernatural forces. Great, right? We all love it. Patrick Wilson. Oh, great. I like their chemistry is fantastic. However, a skeptic's view on it. They're exposed of exploiting vulnerable families for fame and profit, with controversies like Ed's alleged affair, which we'll get into. I do have a slide for it. Doubting on their sincerity. By the way, also, just trigger warnings too. One of these cases does have SA involved by a paranormal entity. So if you are sensitive to something like that, that will be coming down the line. Actually, it's based off the case that the latest movie will be based off, Last Rites. So if you are sensitive to stuff like that, I'll give another warning, but that is coming down the line. So on the left of my PowerPoint is the real Lorraine and Ed Warren. On the right is the fictional in the Conjuring series. So just so everybody's aware. Following along. Okay. So we're going to talk about Ed first. Ed was born Edward Warren Minnie, September 7, 1926 in Bridgeport, I think that's Connecticut. Man, I need to go back to school. Grew up in a working class Catholic family, and he was the eldest of three. Father was a state trooper and mother was a homemaker. And from things I've listened to and different documentaries I've listened, but I will tell you, there's a Netflix documentary and I believe there's a Hulu or Max documentary. They still sugarcoat a couple of things. I highly recommend just Googling this, or not Googling, you looking up YouTube and just following other content creators who specialize in cases like this, who like to talk about paranormal stuff. Lights Out is one of the podcasts I listen to. They're great. That's who I was listening to earlier about the Smurl case that the Last Rites was based off of. So just so you're aware, I would check out YouTubers before I would check out anything on Netflix or Max and stuff. Hi, Zach. Hello. Okay. So Dad was from what I've read and seen and stuff, Dad was a pretty strict dad back in the days, right? We're looking at 1926 here. So he had a strict Catholic upbringing, and that supposedly shaped his demonological work. By the way, he's a self-proclaimed demonologist. This is not like something he went to school for and such. And I know through the grapevines in the Catholic Church, there are individuals who handle like exorcisms and have to study for years, and you don't even know who they are and stuff. And this guy just self-proclaimed demonologist. So he supposedly at the age between 5 and 12 saw apparitions, heard footsteps, objects moved in a haunted home. I've lived in a haunted home, like a legit haunted house. where we had people walk in the front door on wooden floors, and there'd be nobody there, but you would hear the footsteps coming in through the front door and up the steps. Things would show up in one place or the other. There was a room in that house that initially was my youngest sister's room because she was the baby at the time. She would not sleep at all. They switched it to me being in there, and I remember, and this will always stick with me, sitting on my bed midday watching on a little tube TV in the corner. Windows were closed, my door was closed, and I had one of those folding uh closet doors, and it like pulled it closed, pulled it open, closed it closed, and the lights flickered. And I think I slept on my parents' floor until they sold the house. So I get it. Houses can be haunted. And I might sound like a crazy person to a couple of you, but they do exist. Um so he apparently had an encounter with a ghostly woman, sparked a lifelong fascination with the paranormal. Education in early childhood, he attended Catholic schools, not academically inclined. Again, self-proclaimed demonologist. Okay, and just sidebar on this. I'm not here to shit on these two in a sense. I'm not here to pull the rug out from uh underneath them. The poll I have going on is, are they real? Are they frauds? Or is it a mix of both? And I'm kind of in the mix of both category, where there can be an ounce of truth to a pound of just bullshit. So I think there's some truth there. So he joined the Navy at 17. He served in World War II. Briefly attended art school, later focused on paranormal work due to financial struggle. And that to me was a big red flag right there. So he's exploiting people, I guess. So he met Lorraine as a teenager. They married in 1945, and they founded the New England Society of Psychic Research in 1952. Again, self-taught demonologist, driven by childhood experience of faith perspective. So supporters say formative, haunting, inspired, genuine mission, but skeptics claim lack of collaboration and possible exaggeration. That's a common thing throughout this. So, do they have Robert the Doll? Who has Robert the Doll? I don't think he said. Who has Robert the Doll? Key West Art and History Society has it in the Key West. So they have Annabelle, which, by the way, I have a video of the tour of their like museum that you also see in the movies. They do a duplicate of it, but I do have a tour video of it. So that's Ed. So just establishing Ed for it. Okay. Lorraine's a little bit more interesting to me. Lorraine Rita Morn, born January 31st, 1972, also in Bridgeport, Connecticut, raised by a middle-class Catholic family. Devoted Catholic household, attended Catholic schools. Faith emphasized spiritual phenomena, influenced her worldview. She is supposedly a clairvoyant. She passed away, I believe it was either 29 or 2013. I know he passed away earlier and she was around for a little bit longer. I knew it was a doll. Yes, it was Annabelle. Annabelle. And not the Annabelle we think in the movies. So she claimed she had psychic gifts from the age of 17, auras and spirits. Abilities were intuitive, no formal training, central to the investigation. Sometimes I think people just have really good intuition or are sensitive to certain energies. I'm not, again, not downplaying. Maybe she is or was a clairvoyant. Sure. But I mean, sometimes you get into a situation, you're out in the middle somewhere, and fight or flight kind of kicks in for out of nowhere, right? I think we all have it, but I think some people it's just stronger or more sensitive to it. That's just my own opinion. You know what we think about opinions around here? They're like buttholes. Sometimes they stink. So she met Ed at 16, married in 1945 during his Navy leave, supported Ed's art career before shifting to the paranormal work, co-founded the NESPR in 1952, and acted as the clairvoyant medium. So they invested cases like Amityville, Annabelle, and I think it's Enfield. Co-author books, such as like The Demonologist, which I've always been inclined to read, but I don't know if I want to look like that in my house. Lectured widely. Why was that so fucking hard? So continued work after Ed's death in 2020 2006 and consultant on The Conjuring. I was right. So I was kind of right, but not right. It was a teen, but it was 19. So she died 2019, so not long ago at age 92. And so supporters think she was a gifted medium and validated investigations. However, skeptics say clairvoyance is kind of unproven possible embellishment. I was listening to sidebar. I was listening to Joe Rogan, one of Joe Rogan's episode. I think I talked about this last week about remote viewing and how the government was like testing this. So again, I think there are people that are sensitive to stuff like this. Potentially could have the ability. Like as humans, we don't use a lot of our brain, right? Supposedly. I hope that's still right. I don't know where education is nowadays on that, but it could be true. She could be clairvoyant, could be real. Now, I know there was a phase in the early 2000s of like psychics having their own television series, and I don't think I think if psychics were truly psychics, I think I think there would be a lot more heavy hand from the government. It's just my opinion. Just my opinion. Instead of just like, you're just crooks. Okay, so we're gonna go through some of the formative years and some of the cases. So follow me, guys. Follow me. We're gonna get to the Conjuring movies. I promise. I promise. Thank you, everybody who's watching right now. Please, again, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. So, Ghost Hunters. So, there's a 5-decade legacy going on here, guys. Five decades of legacy. They do have children too. I'm not going to really go into their kids. I believe it's their nephew who is the one controlling, well, not controlling, but handling the museum. And if Dax is still in the chat on the left, you're going to see that's Annabelle. Positively do not open. That is not the Annabelle that Hollywood has in the movies, which, by the way, I've seen all those movies, and I think it's the second or the third one that's good. I can't remember which one, but I know the first one's not. So they founded NESPR in 1952. They investigated New England hauntings. Again, Ed, self-taught demonologist, Lorraine, clairvoyant medium. So they used things like Catholic rituals, collected artifacts like Annabelle doll. In 1970, they had cases like the Perron haunting, which was 1971 to 73, Amityville, which was 76, Enfield, which was 77 to 79. They published books like The Demonologist in 1980. They lectured at university. So similar to, you'll see, I think it's either the second or third movie when we're introduced to them again. One of them is lecturing at a university about, or is it the third one, about exorcisms and such. Which, by the way, again, insider knowledge on this because just a little bit of insight. Exorcisms, like it takes steps to get an actual exorcism from the Catholic Church, and even then, the person who requests it, at most of the times, doesn't even know who the exorcist is. It's like very diluted way of just anyway. Okay, so the Smurl haunting. 1986, which is, by the way, inspired The Haunted in 1991, which is another movie, which is what The Last Rites is supposedly about. Face skepticism for lack of evidence and accused of sensationalism. I'm proud of myself for saying that word. Which is true. We'll get into it. It's interesting. I briefly knew about this haunting. I didn't dive into it like I did for this PowerPoint. I was like, okay. That's the one with the trigger warnings, by the way. So the Conjuring franchise started in 2013 and grossed over $2 billion. So the Occult Museum, run by Tony Sapira, remains a tourist attraction. That's their nephew. So if you do, for some reason, want to go see all these artifacts from these hauntings, you can go and get a tour of this. I will not. The same reason why I won't go to Zach Baggins' Haunted Museum. Even if I think Zach's full of shit, I'm not gonna have energy follow me. That's the thing. I believe in it. Things have energy. They do. The energy you put out there, the energy you think they do. It does come back to haunt you. Okay. So they did site visits, interviews, psychic readings, prayers, and exorcism. So very much Catholic in the approaches. Somewhat. So their philosophy was Catholic is a battle of good versus evil. So, the whole heaven versus hell, demons, angels, things. And supporters think they pioneer aiding families. Skeptics say they exploited the cases for profit and lack of scientific rigor. Now, again, I'm a believer. Reading through some of these cases, I think they maybe they might have helped, but at the same time, I think they made it worse by having the public's eye on these cases, which made them maybe hypothetically might want to over sensation of these cases potentially, right? Maybe over sensation. I don't know, over sensation over sensation. So, but again, all right, moving on. So here is the controversy. Everybody thinks Ed and Lorraine Warren, at least, and I hate to use the word normally think, based off the movies, that they were this loving couple that had this undividing love for each other. When not knowing that allegedly, Ed had an affair with a 15-year-old. So Judith Penny's claims in 2014 alleged that had a 40-year affair with Ed from 1963 to 2003, starting at the age of 15. She lived with the Warrens and was called a niece to conceal the relationship. Allegedly. Again, this is all allegedly, right? Allegations. The documentary on Netflix does kind of dive a little bit into it. So 1978, she was pregnant with Ed's child. Lorraine recommended a abortion, so persuaded an abortion. 1963, she was arrested for cohabitation. Ed drove her to the youth office. Ed physically, allegedly, Lorraine, both driven by profit. So Warren's families denied this claim. Penny was 18, taken in for neglect. Okay, not 15. But even then, 18, I get it, legally an adult, but he had to be, what, in his 30s or 40s at that point? Creepy. Legal conviction or corroboration beyond Penny's declaration. Hey, Del, what's up? We're talking about Ed and Lorraine Warren. Reported in 2017 by the Hollywood Reporter during the Conjuring lawsuits, Lorraine's film contract barred depicting Ed's infidelity. So that is interesting to me. So she made sure in the contract that they would not depict Ed's infidelity, which to be honest, I don't think they would probably have done, because one of the biggest things about the movies is the relationship between Ed and Lorraine Warren. What's up? I got a raid coming in. What's going on, Terrace? What's going on, guys? I don't know where it's coming from because I don't have it up. welcome everybody. Welcome. You guys rock. We're talking about Ed and Lorraine Warren and the Conjuring movies and the cases that they are based off of. So if you know about Ed and Lorraine Warren, please do me a favor in the poll. Take a vote. Are they real frauds or a mix of both? We just went through Ed and Lorraine's upbringing, and now we're getting into Ed's affair that a lot of people don't know about. Alleged affair. Oh, Dooley's raid. Awesome. You guys are awesome. Welcome, guys. I hope you like horror. If not, still subscribe and just mute me. So just do that. Welcome. Okay. Back to the so Lorraine having this banned out of the contracts, I think actually gives a little bit more truth to what's going on. Everybody thinks, like, again, they have this loving relationship that Patrick Wilson and I think it's Vima, whatever her name is, portrays in the Conjuring series, not knowing that allegedly he had an affair with a 15-year-old that had living with them. That's crazy to me. But so skeptics fuels this kind of, so the alleged affair when it came out kind of fueled skepticism around Warren's Catholic's image and motives. Again, a lot of people think what the movies are is what reflect real life. Not the case. Even if you watch interviews with them. So I do have an interview I'm going to pull up for us to watch. It's Ed telling the real story of Annabelle. We're going to just watch a little bit of it just so you guys get an idea of who the real Ed Warren is and who they are. We're not going to watch the whole thing because it's 27 minutes. But, so let me pull that up. All right. So, telling the real story of Annabelle.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a brand new program of Seekers of the Supernatural. I'm your moderator, Tony Spera, along tonight with
Okay, so I'm going to correct myself then. Tony Sparrow isn't the nephew. I don't believe so. Because Tony Sparrow, Ed and Lorraine. Let's see. Oh, son-in-law. That's what it was. Son-in-law. Sorry. Nephew, son-in-law. What's up, doolies? What's going on? We're talking about how Ed and Lorraine Warren are not what they are. And then we're talking about the Conjuring movies and their cases. So it's a spooky night. It's a very spooky night. What's going on? All right. So
Ed Warren and Lorraine Warren, famous ghost
Just wanna
hunters.
get to them.
It's a new year. It's a new show.
So this is the
We have new
guy
cases.
who controls
For
the
those
museum right now.
who
So there they are.
That was really hard for me to accept that. I had never been in a haunted home, but I always had something about myself I didn't understand, and that was an ability to know things through extrasensory perception.
Extrasensory perception.
But I suppressed those feelings, Tony, to a great extent because there really was no one I could share them with. Now, with Ed, it was important to him to satisfy his curiosity regarding that house that he grew up in. Did other families really?
Yes. So when we were talking earlier, when I brought up the slide about Ed, he had like growing obsession over the hauntings that were in his house growing up, especially the woman, the ghost, the apparition of the woman that he would see quite frequently. So that grew his obsession with it. And I think they touch on it in the movies. They do like a flashback or discussion about it in the dialogue.
The types of things that he experienced. And as artist, because he was now studying art and already beginning to sell his paintings very early on in his career after getting out of the service.
And this right in front, I believe, is one of his paintings too.
Within the first couple of years.
Let me ask you, you said you had the ability to know things.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? And what year, how old were you?
It started about 9.
I'm going to fast forward a little bit. I just want to get Ed talking.
That his religious beliefs were strong enough to take care of anything in that house because he was a very spiritual man. I don't think I ever know my father missing a day's mass. He always make sure he went to mass in the morning or went to church after work when he'd come home late at night. But he'd always make a visit to the church. So what I wanted to do was to find out if what he said.
So very Catholic upbringing, right? Which is contradicting to the fact that he had an affair with a 15-year-old. Allegedly, YouTube, sorry, allegedly on it. And please, nobody come in suing me. But allegedly. So, again, this fueled the fire of it, right? There's supposed to be this couple that's supposed to be helping people who have these abilities. They have both Catholic upbringing. They're very much involved with the Catholic Church and such. But we get this. We get an affair with a 15-year-old and allegedly, potentially, her getting pregnant and persuaded to have an abortion about it. So I hopefully don't ruin the Conjuring series for you. Okay, so we're going to get into it. We're going to get into the first case, all right? So the first case is what the first movie is based off of. And if you haven't seen the first movie, I think honestly it's the best one out of all of them. Like, legit, it is very good. It's a very good centralized storytelling. I wish they hadn't continue it. Similar with Insidious 1, great, fantastic, loved it, great. Oh, these two fake Catholics, converso if you prefer. Yep. Hey, what's up, Hook? So the first Conjuring movie is based off the Perron family haunting. And just a little bit of background. So the family was Roger, Carolyn, daughters Andrea, Nancy, Christine, Cindy, and April. So they were located in the old Arnold estate in Rhode Island, and it was bought in 1970, which, by the way, I believe it recently went back on the market or was purchased again. So there's some historical deaths and self-KOs and murders believed to leave spirits. Now, there was a woman, Andrea Perron, right there on the left, the daughter. She wrote a book about the haunting. So House of the Light is her book on it. Below that is the picture of the actual house, not from the movie. Okay. So Mrs. Arnold tucked in the kids, and Manny played with toys. So Benelvin, you get it. Carolyn targeted with bruises and stabbed with wounds. So some of the ghosts were nice, like tucking in the kids, playing with toys. Some of them bruises and stab wounds. So phenomenon. Clock stopped at 3:07 a.m. Objects moved. 7 dead soldiers' voices. So here's where the Warrens come in. In 1973, after the family bought the house in 1970. So they conducted seances. Carolyn spoke in tongues. She supposedly levitated. Roger expelled them. Activity reduced afterwards. So aftermath. So the family stayed in that house till 1980, and then they moved to Georgia. Andrea's House of Darkness, House of Light documents the case, which is that book on the left, which hopefully I'll get to read it soon. So there's controversy. So there's no physical evidence of this haunting. Roger's skepticism raises questions too. Bathsheba, which is who the witch is in the first movie, misidentified as a witch, by the way, per Andrea, the oldest daughter, right? So here is the truth to fiction, and I just realized this thing is just super small for me on screen to see, so let me pull it up on my end so I can see my notes a little bit better. Where are we? We are here. Okay, so timeline on it. So on the right hand side, on the upper right hand side, that is the actual family. Below hand is the family for the movie. So Andrea's view, film captures essence, but 95% of it was wrong, omits friendly ghosts and 9-year stay. So the timeline. So the real events, 9 years, gradually escalating. The film is weeks in 1971, rapid climax. Understandably, this is Hollywood, a movie, right? So the Warrens roll brief, expelled after seance, in the real life event. In the movie, they made it look like they were heroic and led the exorcism. Seance or exorcism, there was just a seance, no exorcism in the real life. In the film, they dramatized a exorcism, fictional. Bathsheba, misidentified as a witch. This has been disputed back and forth. There's so many podcasts about this. And then in the film, it's a satanic villain possesses Carolyn, the mother. The tone. So there's a mix of good and bad ghosts, right? There's a ghost that wants to play toys with you, and there's a ghost that wants to beat you. In the movie, it's just pure horror and demonic forces focus. Okay. So instead of ghost focus, Bathsheba's considered a demon in the movie. It's all demonic from that point on. And I get it. That's a little bit more, a little bit of adding fire to it, right? Exaggerating for Hollywood. Make it scary, spooky. Okay. The second movie, Conjuring 2, is based on the Enfield Poltergeist, which is interesting because I believe when I was reading, the kids came back saying like it didn't really happen. They made up most of this stuff. I actually have a recording. So let me pull up my recording for it so we can get to it when we get there. Okay. So a little bit of background. So Arne Johnson, David Webzel, Alan Bono, located in Brookfield, Connecticut. Oh, wait. What am I looking at? That's the wrong one. Okay, hold on. Sorry. Okay. I was like, I'm not. Peggy Holton, children, Margaret, Janet, Johnny, and Billy. So the location is the council house in, I think it's Enfield, London, 1977 to 1979. So Janet, age 11, 12, was the primary target. So the paranormal activity. So they had knocks, moving furniture, Janet's levitation, which, by the way, on the left-hand side is a real photo from the case of supposedly her levitating. Bill Wilkins' voice claiming to be deceased resident. Over 1,500 incidents, 30 to 40 witnesses by multiple parties. Investigators, Maurice Gross, Guy Playfair, recorded 180 hours, believed the poltergeist linked to Janet's stress. So the Warrens, here they come. One day visit 1978, claimed demonic presences, dismissed by Gross. In and out, we're done. So the aftermath. Once the activity faded by 1979, the family stayed until 2003. Documented in the house that's haunted in 1980. So controversy is that the kids admitted to pranks. Skeptics argue voices were fake, and the Warrens' demonic narrative contradicts the poltergeist theories. So what I have up is the voice recording of Bill Wilkins, the voice claiming to be the deceased resident. So we're gonna hear that. So let me pause the music I got playing so we can listen to that. And we're gonna share this. Okay. All right. Oh my. Right. Oh my. Here we go. Oh wait. Wait. Is this not sharing for me? It's not. Okay. Hold on. Add to stage. Remove. There we go. Okay. Let's try this again.
Let me hear you say my name. Come on. Let me hear you say my name.
Can you guys hear that?
That's not my name. Come on, my name's Morris. Let me hear you say it. Morris. Say Dr. Belloc. Come on. Let me hear you say that. Come on. Let's hear you say Dr. Belloc. So could you close that door down? Say Dr. Belloc.
I can hear like.
What is it? Now, if you squeak the bed, I can't hear you talking.
Oh,
now,
so it's.
say
I
Dr.
was
Belloc.
wondering if there was
Come
a
on.
squeak to the bed.
Come on, say it for me, Dr. Belloc.
So he's trying to get the ghost of Bill to say Dr. I think it's Benham or something.
Belloc. Right, that's good. Shut the door. I'm going to do it, you know. I come from doing right great job. And I have right in the church where reading.
That's creepy. It's creepy. So that is the supposed voice that they had recorded of Bill, the deceased resident, which I think the second movie bases off the guy in the chair in the corner who passes away pretty much, who actually probably has the best scare out of that whole fucking movie. That whole movie probably is the best scare. It's not even because that's where we start to get the nun. I think the nun makes a presence in that one, and I think they're trying to do too much. Anyway, why does the demon? Maybe because he was born there. I don't know. All right, so the Enfield Poltergeist versus the Conjuring 2 Poltergeist to demons. So Janet's view. The film took Janet, again, the prime target of the hauntings, took liberties, captured by fear, but invented Valak by exaggerated warrants. So here's the timeline of it. And by the way, on the right hand side, so we have movie Janet, and then family on the right hand side, and then below hand is one of the supposed real levitating photos. Sounds like he's from Manchester. A man from Manchester. Anyway. So in real life, this took 18 months. In the film, it just took weeks in 1977. Obviously, rapid climax. Warren's World. So in real life, one day visit. That was it, minimum. In the film, Vatican backed. Lead resolution, right? What's up, Jana? Jana Banana. Entities. So Poltergeist, Bill Wilkins' voice, which we just heard. And in the film, there was a fictional demon called Valak, manipulated Bill. Which, by the way, again, I think the movie would have been so much better had they just stuck to Bill as an entity versus adding this nun demon kind of thing. I don't think it works. The movie's got a lot of issues with it. So resolution. So it faded naturally. Supposedly no exorcism in the film. There was an exorcism banishing Balak and saves Janet. Tone. Poltergeist research lulls in real life. Again, film always got to be demonic and suspense. So that is the Enfield Poltergeist. And again, it came out later that some of the kids were like, we made a bunch of this stuff up, or we like did stuff so that people, over exaggerated it in a sense. So again, I always believe with this stuff, there's always an ounce of truth to a pound of bullshit. So here we are. All right, moving on. We're going to talk about the Arne case. This is what The Devil May Do It, which is the last film before the one that's going to be released here. Night, Rachel. Don't have nightmares. Have a good night. The Devil Made Me Do It case. So Arne Chin Johnson. So background. So Arne Johnson, David Glatz, Alan Bone. So location, Brookfield, Connecticut. Again, Connecticut. 1980 to 1981. So David, age 11, allegedly possessed, followed by Johnson. Similar to the move. Yeah. The young lady never recanted her story. Janet, I thought somebody recanted the story in the Enfield. But anyway, hi, Kevin. Nice to meet you. It's the first time I've seen you in my chat. Nice to meet you. I'm happy to prove it wrong. So David alleged was possessed. Similar in the movie, in the opening, we have a young child that's possessed, and then it moves over to Johnson. So paranormal criminal events. So David's symptoms was vision, bruises, altered voice. Okay. Warrens arranged for 3 lesser exorcism. Johnson challenged the demon on it. Johnson then stabbed Bono, 1981, and claimed he was possessed. So similar to, if you've seen Devil May Me Do It, very, very similar. Very similar. Hi, Sassy Pants. Interesting but skeptical. Me too, Sassy. Me too. So the trial was possession as a defense was rejected, convicted of manslaughter, served only 5 years. Warrens testified and drew media frenzy. So on the left-hand side, you're going to see an actual real-life photo of Arne on the left-hand side. So aftermath, Johnson married Debbie, lived quietly post-release. David's mental health issues persisted. Family split on the claims on that one. So again, remember, David was age 11, allegedly possessed, and then it moved to Johnson. So the skepticism is David's symptoms are psychological. Warrens exploited the family. And Carl denounced the Warrens as con artists. Okay. Moving on. We're going to look at the differences between the movie and the thing. So on the right-hand side is the picture of the actor who played Arne. And again, not a bad movie, but if you're expecting the amount of jump scares and horror as the first 2, you're going to be very disappointed. Devil Made Me Do It is, I would say it's more of a horror drama crime thing. The beginning is pretty heavy in the horror aspect of the possession and stuff. Once it gets past that, once Johnson is claimed to be possessed, it kind of tones down a little bit and it gets a little weird. So family views that Johnson and Debbie appreciated attention, but noted that it was dramatization. Carl criticizes the Warrens' glorification. So timeline. Real event took between July 1980 to November 1981. In the film, it was weeks in 1981. Warren's role, investigation, and testified for the real events. However, in the film, again, heroic. Thank you. Heroic detectives and led the exorcisms. Obviously, it's a movie. Possessions. So, in real event, 43 demons, no occult cause. In the film, it was a fictional occultist curse via totems. If anybody remembers that fucking crazy ending. So dumb. Resolution. Conviction, but no exorcism. Again, he served 5 years for manslaughter. In the film, exorcism banished the demon, saves Johnson. And the tone, legal tragedy, family distress. In the movie, obviously, again, demonic thriller, occult focus, which is interesting because I think this is one of the 3 cases we talked about where it's not a ghost possessing him or poltergeist and stuff. It's an actual allegedly demonic. So it kind of lines up with it. So Devil Made Me Do It out of the 3, weakest of the movies, in my opinion. and 2 is not that strong. So, all right, we're gonna move on. So, The Conjuring: The Last Rites. Conjuring: Last Rites. Anybody seen the trailer? Because we're gonna about to pull it up. So, if you are not a trailer watcher, that's fine. That's fine. You guys have a good night. But I have not seen the trailer. I'm kind of a little nervous because as much as I know these movies love to jump scare. They love to jump scare you. I am so all right. Let me pull it up. Oh yeah, Kevin, you read the Demonologist? Is that the one? Or The Last Rites? Which novel? Which novel, sir? Which I'm curious. I ordered the House of Darkness, House of Light, the one on the what the first movie was based off of, to check out. The daughters talk of it. So all right, here we go. Oh, The Haunted. Okay, cool. I'm gonna check it out. Oh god, here we go. Oh, did you? Warner Brothers always screws me on this one. Hold on. Let me turn the quality down. I know. Womp womp. Actually, that's way too low. Hold on. Let's go with... Okay. Here we go.
Don't touch anything.
What is going on?
Everything you see in here.
Which, by the way, I have a video of the tour of the... we're going to check it out last.
Is either haunted.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to back this up. See if by loading it, it plays better. And it doesn't.
Don't touch anything.
Maybe if I turn
Everything you see in here is either haunted.
Which, by the way, he said, why can't I think of his name right off the top of my head? And it's like right up. What was it? What was it? James Wan. James Wan said he's still interested in seeing in doing a Crooked Man movie. Just haven't been a green light. I learned the word succubus from this book. Oh. If you want a good and true possession movie, you got to watch Puppet. I've seen Puppet Master. I've seen most of the Puppet Master movies. Yeah. Surprise you there, huh?
First, been used in some sort of ritualistic practice. Nothing's a toy. Not even the toys.
And I get it. You got to kind of over-exaggerate some of these things because, like, Annabelle's an actual rag doll.
How many cases you guys had?
Cases.
Oh, by the way, I'm sorry to interrupt, guys. By the way, this case that we're going to talk about briefly, the Smurl case, supposedly is like the most controversial, like the roughest one the Warrens said they've gone through.
My name is Ed Warren, here with my wife Lorraine.
Yeah, maybe 1,000. Every case is different. Every family's different.
Oh, the hand. Oh, if anybody, oh, right there. Do you see it? Do you see the hand? Oh.
Once we start, there's no going back.
I fucking hate Tom.
Anything can happen. And most
I don't know if I can make it through this movie.
likely anything will.
Why is it always got to be dolls? Oh, it's coming up close. Always got to be the attic, or the basement, or the barn.
Yeah. Something's changed.
I will say, throughout these movies, the makeup effects are pretty good.
Something's different.
Creepy, like subtle but creepy, especially the first Insidious. Blood.
That's not the Holy Spirit. We cast you out.
We all know how you love Phillips. What's up, Rick?
I've been waiting so patiently for you.
Hey, Lama! Ding dong bell! All right. Well, that's terrifying. So let's talk about it for a second here, okay? Let's talk about it. So just to give you guys a little bit of background on what the case is and what to maybe expect, right? And again, I'm going to give it trigger warning on this one. There is essay in this supposed case about one of the victims. So just so you are aware, that's why you get an ultimate semi-auto devil don't want. 2 days after your birthday, so September 3rd. I can do math. I can definitely do math. Okay. Welcome, guys. Welcome. Good to see you guys. I haven't seen some of you in a while. What's up? All right. So, this is what to expect with the Conjuring Last Rite. So, the Smurl family haunting, which, by the way, I recommend the Lights Out podcast. They did a great job breaking this down. So, the background is the family, Jack and Janet Smurl. Their 4 daughters, Dawn, Heather, Shannon, and Karen, and Jack's parents, John and Meryl Smurl. They lived in a duplex on Chase Street in Pennsylvania. And if you don't know what a duplex is, it's usually a building that has 2 entrances that are split down the middle. So think, I guess a townhouse would be something similar to it. So they moved into the duplex in August of 1973 after their Wilkes-Barre home was flooded by a Hurricane Agnes in 1972. And that's a picture of the actual family below. So initial disturbances were from 1974 to 1977. So they were minor incidents. So unexplained stains on the carpet. Janet and Jack one day woke up and they found a peculiar stain on the carpet, which was very weird. They then cleaned it and scrubbed it, went to bed. The next morning it was back. So reappearing stains on carpets, missing and reappearing tools. So again, objects moving around. Scratches on the new sink and bathtub, television bursting into flames. So one evening, the television literally bursted into flames right in front of them. So faulty wire, right? Maybe. We'll see. So early reports, Dawn, the eldest daughter, claimed to see people floating in her bedroom in 1975. Just random people just floating. Can you imagine? You're going to bed, brush your teeth, put your hair up, get in bed with a good book. You look up and there's fucking people floating in front of you. Floating. Okay. So, there were strange odors too, unplugged radios from playing music. So they would play music and then all of a sudden it would be unplugged randomly as if whatever entity didn't want the music to be played. I don't know what they were listening to, but if it's in the 70s, it probably was decent music, better than what's nowadays. Cold spots. So different areas of the duplex would have, in a sense, just random cold spots where it would be freezing in that certain stuff. And footsteps heard in the house. Running out of the house screaming. So in 1977 to 85, the activity intensified. So drawers would open and close violently. So similar to what my story was earlier when I was a kid and I had my closet door, slam open, slam shut, slam open, slam shut. Similar to that. A foul smell like rotting flesh and an unseen hand caressing Jack, the husband. Okay. I just figured the acid I did 20 years ago finally came back to give me a second trick. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So Janet and Mary had heard voices mimicking each other. And mimics or changelings do that too. I think there's a lot of like cryptides that do it too. But I'm pretty sure mimics, right? Where they call out to you to have you come as somebody you know and then grab you, and Janet would hear Mary calling her name and Mary would hear arguments with explicitives, which means bad words. Increased frequency. So activity became more frequent with the walls rattling and the objects moving and explicitly. Now the walls rattling could be whoever's living on the other side of the duplex, but here we are, right? So here's the peak haunting, guys. 1985 to 1987. Janet claimed to have levitated 6 feet and was thrown across the room. Jack reported being raped by a succubus, if Kevin's in the chat, he knows what I'm talking about, while watching a baseball game. Succubuses are incubuses, but succubuses are females. Mostly are the female version of an incubus, similar to like sirens. Coming home, seeing the first paranormal activity in the door that I always leave open was closed. Freaked me out. It started out fun. Succubus is a hooker you don't have to pay for. So this is where these ghosts cross the line with me. The family dog was thrown against the wall, and one daughter was cut by a falling light fixture. I'm glad the daughter was okay, but the dog was literally thrown against the wall. You don't fuck with dogs. Dogs are literally little angels on earth. Don't fuck with dogs. Here's where the essay. So Janet reportedly nighttime being molested by a malevolent force. Jack described the encounter with a shadowy female figure, which was the succubus. Then there was scales and leopard. So the shadow figure, ominous black masses and faceless billow shadows were seen moving throughout the houses. Now, I think, to me, this could be an ounce of truth to it, as there's a phenomenon I've read of people seeing like shadowy figures in the corners of your eyes, like in corners of things. My husband's childhood home would have one. Like the whole family members would see this shadowy figure randomly throughout many years. So I think it also kind of connects to the wide brim hat guy that usually sometimes shows up at ends of people's beds and during very like crucial times, like really bad times in their lives and stuff. So could also be a manifestation. Who knows? Not the puppies, right? That is foul play. You don't fuck with dogs. My dog's not here right now, but you don't fuck with dogs. Neighborhood reports. So screams heard from the house when the family was absent. Neighbors reported banging, odors, and missing objects. So beyond the home, the entity allegedly followed the family, attacked their camper and car with banging, sewage smells, and physically kicks to Jack while driving. Now, to me, this sounds more like the Insidious movie where it's not the house that's haunted, it's the child. Dun, dun, dun. I need to get some sound effects. So, intervention by Ed and Lorraine Warren in 1986. So this is where they stepped in. So the Warren self-proclaimed demonologists were contacted in 1986, concluded a powerful demonic entity was present along with 4 spirits, an elderly woman, a violent young girl, a man who died in the home, and a controlling demon. Which one was the succubus then? Was it the elderly woman? Evidence claims. So Ed Warren reportedly auto tapes of knocking and rapping a mirror message saying "Get out," sights of a dark mass. The Warrens attempted to provoke the entity with religious music and prayers, causing furniture to shake. So skepticism. Professor Paul Kurtz and the Committee for Scientific Investigation of Claims of the Paranormal, that's a mouthful, criticized the Warrens' methods as a non-objective, calling the haunting a potential hoax, that's who he is right there below, next to the Warrens, who are on the left-hand side of it. So, where am I? Okay. So here's some religious intervention for it. So blessing. Several priests blessed the home, reporting no unusual activities during their visit. Which seems a little funny. Again, put my little devil advocate hat here. Yeah, Coco, I hear you. Devil's hat on here. If the Warrens playing religious music and having pieces of religious artifacts around the house disturbed the entities to the point where the chairs and furniture were shaking, why not when a priest is there blessing the home? You would think there'd be some activity. So Janet claimed an unidentified priest performed 3 unsuccessful exorcisms, with the demon evading rites by moving between the duplex's sides. Oh, okay. So they one side to the other, walking through walls. Cool. A third exorcism involving multiple priests and parishioners temporarily halted activity, but was not Vatican sanctioned. So that's a big thing because, again, through the grapevines I heard, it's a process. It's a process to actually get an exorcism done at your house. Like, it's not like, oh, you call a priest up and stuff. I know the movie's kind of exaggerated a little bit, like, oh, you got to go through this whole. There is like a step-by-step. It goes, and it takes a while. So, because you really got to prove it's an exorcism needed. So, a fourth exorcism secretive exorcism 1989, reportedly sanctioned by the Catholic Church, allegedly ended the disturbances. So the priest's observation was the priest from the local diocese stayed 2 nights in 1986, reported, again, no unusual activity for here. Reverend Joseph N. noted in 1986 that the intense prayer has restored normalcy. Again, weird to me that from the Warrens' point of view, that when they would have religious music or they would be there, the activity would be very heightened. But you put a priest in there, even a priest that spends 2 nights and nothing, not even a like a grope by the succubus, nothing, 0. For Catholics, yes. And that is Lorraine Warren down here below with the mother, Janet, sitting there discussing it. So the aftermath. So the family relocated to Willsbar in 1988, but claimed the entity followed them until 1989's exorcism. So Deborah, the occupant afterward, who moved into the duplex in 1988, reported no supernatural activity, which reminds me of the Zach Baggins Hell House or whatever house, the demon house that he has like pieces of in his museum, but was based off a family who was behind in rent, supposedly, and then all of a sudden their house was haunted, like extreme hauntedness, where Baggins had to go out there and check it out and concurred it was. It just so happened to fall when they were behind in rent. Anyway, so Jack died in 2017 at the age of 75. Janet and their daughters report no further paranormal activity post the 1989 exorcism. So skeptics' views. Critics noted the inconsistency in the Swirl's accounts, lack of verifiable evidence, and potential financial motives like books and movie deals. The Warrens' involvement in prior Amityville fame raised doubts about the case's authenticity, which I would love to do a deep dive episode into the Amityville one, maybe watching both movies, the Ryan Reynolds remake and the original movie, because, be honest, I'm not a huge fan of Ryan Reynolds, but the movie's pretty good. Notable claims and documentaries. So eyewitnesses, reporters inside the home, alleged witness foul odors, wing flapping sounds, and moving objects. Could they have just had a dead bat in the attic or something? A psychic claimed the house was the site of a brutal murder, and the Westminster murder named Lutz, same as the Amityville family, was noted, though the crime occurred decades earlier and blocks away. So the case is considered one of the most documented hauntings, rivaling the Amityville, though skeptics argue it may be the most exaggerated or fabricated on it. And that, again, is Ed and Lorraine below there. So this is what Last Rites is going to be based off of and what they're going to be cherry picking from. And I'll be curious to see, because I'm going to continue to read up on this case to see what the differences between them. Next slide. So, conclusion. Are the Warrens heroes or hucksters? So they have achievements. So they investigated over 10,000 cases, popularized the paranormal research. The Conjuring franchise wouldn't exist had they not done this, right? It cemented the cultural impact. Ed's alleged affair, again, alleged affair with a 15-year-old, questions of personal ethics. So the skeptics, like the Devil on Trial, accused them of fraud, exploiting the families. The Devil Made Me Do It. Movie is based off that one. There's lack of evidence, exaggerated film roles, and fuels doubts. Again, in the movies, they're proclaimed as this like very loving couple that, very Catholic upbringing, stand to moral ground, but then you see them exploiting families that are in distress, and then, no offense, again, bringing it back, Ed's alleged affair. So spiritual warriors aiding in distressed families. That's what supporters are saying. Skeptics say they capitalize on fear and with questionable methods. I mean, they're both passed away at this point, so they themselves, wherever they are, know exactly what legacy they're leaving behind, and who knows if it's real. So they have an occult museum and ongoing Conjuring popularity, which, by the way, this is the last movie, but they are also supposedly doing a TV show unless it was scrapped. I don't think it was scrapped. Something was scrapped, but I don't think it was. So this Warren's story blends faith, fear, and controversy, leaving a complex legacy open to interpretation. So on the left-hand side of the slide, you're going to see pictures of the actual museum, and I have a video, and we will end on that. Let me pull. It's about two minutes and 4 minutes. Did they say how old he was when he allegedly had the affair? Aha! It was in. Let me pull back my slide. See? Okay. So, alleged affair 1963, starting at age 15. Ed was born in 1927. So, 63. 36 years old. 36 years old. Supposedly starting an affair, allegedly, with a niece. They called her their niece, but she wasn't really their niece. Yikes is the word. Yep. I think Ed and Lorraine are a mix of both. Me too, Trish. Hello, Trish. Honey, my mystics. Goonit. I'm going to add that to my profile thing. Okay. All right. We're going to look into the occult museum. It's about 2 minutes. And remember, their son-in-law is the one in charge of their occult museum, which you, as a tourist, can go check out if you
He's like,
please.
oh, man. I just had the worst nightmare.
YouTube hates me, man.
Donna's like, well, what's wrong? What's the matter?
Yep.
Because I had
this is their son-in-law.
A dream a nightmare that doll there was coming up my leg
That's
and trying to strangle me to death.
The real Annabelle.
So he grabs the doll off the couch, Lou, throws it across the carpeting, and says, "That's just a Raggedy Ann doll. That can't hurt anybody." When he said that, 7 psychic wounds appeared on Lou's chest and stomach. 4 across the chest, 3 across the stomach. Like somebody took a scalpel and went.
They charge it. How much is the fee? Hold on. How much is it to go to it? The entrance fee to the museum is. Wait. That's not it. Oh, it's no longer open to the public as of 2024. Okay. How much was the fee? I'm curious, Rick. How much was it to walk through it?
And through his white T-shirt, you can see blood marks. That's called psychic wounds. I could tell you quickly the story behind Annabelle. I'm going to open his case up, Dan, so they can without a glare, so he'll be able to take her. Of course, we're not going to touch Annabelle, but we're going to just open the case up.
I built this case to represent Ed's original case. I added a couple extra things for our protection as well your protection when you come to the Perron to view Annabelle. So on top, you see a crucifix on the top, and on the side, each side, there's one. So that represents the Trinity, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Absolutely not. This all should
the
not be
stain that I used on this case is infused with holy oil and holy water. And then you have the St. Michael plaque on each side of the case.
Wow.
And behind Annabelle, behind the felt, inscribed into the walls is the Lord's Prayer and the St. Michael prayer. So all this helped contain the evil within Annabelle in this case.
And we have a Catholic.
Can you imagine going to a store and grabbing your child a rag doll? You bring it home, and a demon goes, "You know what? That's what I want to possess right there. That rag doll. I'm going to cause shit. I'm going to cause chaos. I'm going to and it's a rag doll." Who's to say? Now I'm going to have nightmares of rag dolls, but yeah. I want to say they charge $200 to walk in a room. Yikes. No, thank you.
Catholic priest
You get to take something home? That's where I'd be like, okay.
He's going to come the day before we move it to Mohegan Sun, and he's going to bless museum, us, and he's going to bless the doll itself along with the
That's
case. He'll say certain
film
ritualistic
version.
binding prayers, they're called.
But again, if they have the film version sitting next to the real version, and the demon goes, that new version kind of looks a little bit better. I'm going to hop over there. Why not?
They bind what's there, so it can't go any further than the case. The evil, those prayers, allow the evil to only go so far, and it's
okay. Well, folks, thank you guys so much for joining me tonight on the Conjuring Ed and Lorraine story. I hope you guys had fun and me combining both spooky and movies. I'd like to do more of these if you guys are interested. Maybe dive into more movies that are based off haunted events. Definitely Amityville. Amityville is definitely on my list to check out. Well, I've just watched it, but also discuss it because this is the stuff I kind of like. I don't like true crime. I like more about ghosts and succubus and cryptids and all that stuff. True crime, too real for me. I like the paranormal stuff. So I want to thank everybody who stopped in the chat today. Thank you guys who rated in. You guys are awesome. If you're still here, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Tomorrow is members chat. So if you do want to become a member, please feel free to join. Tomorrow will be members chat. Maybe we'll talk a little bit more about ghost stories. We'll talk about some horror news coming out, some movies and stuff. Excuse me. Thursday, we are back with Last of Us Season 2, Episode 5 discussion. And then Friday, we'll be back with Stranger Things, Season 3, Episode 1 and 2. Saturday will be the Vincent Price tier stream, which I have a couple great panelists joining me for that. We're going to be tearing off his movies. And that should be it for this week. Don't forget, the last Saturday of this month will be the Members Watch Party, which will be Megan 2.0. Not 2.0. Megan. To lead into Megan 2.0. It seems that I have not hit my super chat goal, which is perfectly fine, which means I'm not seeing Final Destination this weekend. Hey! Because those movies get under my fucking fingernails. So thank you, not thank you guys for not participating in that. You guys are awesome. As always, I love you guys. Chat's great. Have a great night. And you know what to do. As always, stay